For generations, children and adults have enjoyed the whimsical nuances that can only be provided by Theodore Geisel, better known by his self-imposed nickname, Dr. Seuss. What is not as well known are his political cartoons, award-winning documentaries, and individualized Army training videos. He wrote over 40 children's books that highlighted his rhyme style and beautifully complemented the Seuss language slowly being created. What lies behind all of the language hype are deep views of humanized justice and political struggle. Through his art, he left a legacy of political activism that brought to light many domestic and international issues of the day that riddled the pages of his literature, even after his audience's key age diverted from adults to children. As a young child in Springfield, Massachusetts, Theodore had a vivid imagination that led to the drawing of odd characters and creatures. He constantly found inspiration for drawings at the local zoo, where his father worked as the Springfield superintendent. In his senior year of college, Geisel drew cartoons for the Dartmouth newspaper, the Jack-o'-lantern. He illustrated his creations and published his work under his mother's maiden name and his middle name, Seuss, because of an alcohol-related incident that required anonymity. Seuss is actually pronounced as Soyce, but the incorrect version stuck because of rapid popularity. After graduating from Dartmouth in 1925, he continued his education at Oxford University for 1 year, where he met Helen Palmer. The duo went back to the States and were married by 1927. That fall, Theodore accepted a job with Judge Magazine as a staff writer and lead artist. He took great pleasure illustrating the advertisements and soon became synonymous for his new catchphrase, "Quick Henry, the Flit," used by the top domestic bug spray corporation at the time. Soon the public began to realize the innate talent that Geisel possessed. His art was soon being published in works like the Saturday Evening Post, Life magazine, Vanity Fair, and Liberty. During the summer of 1936, Geisel wrote his first children's book, And to Think That I Saw It on Mulberry Street. Even with his credible literary background, all of the 27 publishers who received his novel denied the book. Shortly after, Geisel was walking down Fifth Avenue in New York when he happened to bump into a former classmate who was the lead publisher of Vanguard Press. With his help, the groundbreaking story was put on shelves in 1937. Sadly, Theodore would have to postpone his childish endeavors because of the impending World War. Geisel began drawing politically motivated cartoons and introduced the one-of-a-kind sketches to the editor of PM Magazine in New York, a company known for its unique satire involving political issues. The messages being displayed were extremely blunt and proactive, but provided a glimpse to a side of Seuss the public had never seen before. Many of the cartoons focused on current events at the time, including Hitler's Reich, Japanese culture, anti-Semitism, and even racism. Theodore's part in the war effort was defined by his rank as commander of the animation department for the 1st Motion Picture Unit of the Air Force, stationed in Hollywood. Along with Warner Brothers' support, Geisel created a Navy-Army screen magazine called the Private Snafu series. 26 shorts were shipped off to Army bases around the world. This war-related subject series promoted war efforts and taught soldiers through Snafu's mistakes. Because of the wide success surrounding the media creation, Geisel received the Legion of Merit Award. His next project was a documentary called Your Job in Germany, a powerful post-war production that stereotyped all Germans and dehumanized them to sway public interest.
Every German is a potential source of trouble. Therefore, there must be no fraternization with any of the German people.
A year after this controversial creation, he came out with the film Designed for Death, a study of Japanese culture that received an Academy Award for Best Documentary. A key factor that defined Seuss as a leader in his field was his silent negativism towards media attention. Unlike other celebrities of the time, Theodore hated the spotlight and was much more motivated by providing a message more than creating an image.
There's one thing I hate. All the noise.
Geisel made a decision that would define the rest of his literary career. He would no longer fill the role of an army lad who helped support the boys overseas, or an artist who would paint the stereotypes of a race in a cohesive documentary. He decided to pursue his former flame: children's books. His first pictorial presentation at the beginning of his new career was the fabled creation Horton Hears a Hoot, a story of an existentialist and independent pachyderm that saves a species living on a speck of dust, as seen by the common reader. However, Geisel was discreetly describing a political outcry for the Japanese in a statement about democracy and isolationism. Literacy rate within the U.S. suddenly became a forefront issue as the Soviet Union's reading comprehension levels far outmatched our own. Writer John Hersey published an article in Life magazine discussing the interest of young readers in today's literature. He stated that an uninterested child might read the book but will not retain the content, while an intrigued child will be fully immersed in the message being displayed. Hersey recommended that all young readers should follow the up-and-coming pseudonymous writer Dr. Suess. After this article caught wind, Geisel was contacted by the lead editor of Houghton Mifflin Publishing for a job as their head school textbook illustrator. With a supplemental reading list of only 225 words, Suess saw the creation of an entertaining storyline a very daunting task. He was inspired by reading through the list and picking the first two words that rhymed, thus the formation of the title of his most famous tale, The Cat in the Hat. The Cat in the Hat was meant to convey the simple message that it's okay to make a mess, as long as you can clean it up. His next book, Yertle the Turtle, was another hidden message marvel that told the story of an estranged turtle king who became mad with power. Its true tale was an outcry against fascism in the respective dictatorships of Hitler and Stalin. The next issue on the table for Suess was racism. It was eloquently and frankly very obviously represented, with a new species known as the Sneetches.
S-N-E-E-T-C-H-E-S, Sneetches. O-S-N-E-E-T-C-H-E-S, Sneetches.
Now the star-bellied Sneetches had bellies with stars. But the plain-bellied Sneetches had none upon theirs. No stars on their bellies, no stars upon theirs. Now those stars weren't so big. They were really quite small. You would think such a thing wouldn't matter at all.
Throughout the rendition, Theodore left the message that no matter how a person looks or speaks or where they're from, it shouldn't matter. Equal rights should be available to all. After the Environmental Protection Agency was founded, Geisel published one of, if not his most, politically outspoken and controversial books of his career, The Lorax. This dark tale highlighted deforestation, pollution, industrialization, and the simple Lorax, the voice of the forest. Oh, the Places You'll Go was Suess's final book. It embodied all that Suess had done throughout his adolescent crowd career and was filled with heartwarming tales of discovery and imaginative wonder. Theodore died at the age of 87 in 1991. However, his legacy is still very much alive. His advice to the future politicians, dreamers, workers, and doers of the world was simply, we can and we must do better than this. It was not an insult or degradation to his fellow man, but a challenge to fix what does not need fixing. Find a solution before the problem arises. Look at life through a child's eyes and see what needs to be changed for yourself and for those that come after you. During his military service, he proved that the pun is mightier than the pistol, and that laughter is the quickest way to the brain. Many found his works edgy and overly suggestive to young readers, while others admired his boldness as a leader in the field. He inspired change through a pseudonym looking glass and taught children that reading can be fun. His unmatched, unique legacy will reside in the hearts and minds of adults and children alike for generations and will forever be remembered as the greatest children's author, political activist, and moral-bound man to ever pick up a pencil.
I like nonsense. It wakes up the brain cells. Fantasy is a necessary ingredient in living. It's a way of looking at life through the wrong end of a telescope, which is what I do, and that enables you to laugh at all of life's realities.